Hey guys, alright, so today we're going to be doing birds on a wire. It's fairly simple, it's very abstract. Abstract also meaning that your painting is probably not going to look exactly like my painting. And the painting I'm going to do today is probably not going to look like the original painting I did. Abstract is really hard to replicate. It kind of evolves as we're going. So another thing about this is it's very textured, which is the perfect time to recycle a canvas that you aren't happy with, that you have a mess up on, which doing these tutorial videos I've started and stopped, and I have a stack of canvases that is growing bigger every day. So I am going to use a recycled canvas. It has just a little bit from a different painting on there, which is okay, as this being textured, you're not going to see my paint lines. It's the perfect time to recycle a canvas, and I'm gonna do it. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my phthalo green and phthalo blue and a little bit of white, and we're gonna cover the canvas first. We're just gonna cover it and make that first layer of paint on there. There's gonna be many dry times. What else? The sponge, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just, I'm gonna be using a small bit of sea sponge. I buy these in the bigger packages, like this one here. It'll be listed under supplies, but I buy these and then I cut them down. If you keep your sponge nice and moist, I know nobody likes to use that word but me, then you can reuse them over and over. Just make sure that once you get your paint in there and once you're done with one certain color that you rinse your sponge out, or just keep it in your paint water and rinse it out before your next color. That'll be important. Other than that, I think we're good to get started at least. So what I'm gonna do, like I said, is I'm gonna cover the entire canvas in a teal blue color. So, and that's gonna be 50-50 of the phthalo blue. It's a 50-50 mix of phthalo blue and phthalo green. And you're going to want to cover your whole canvas. It's important to get enough paint on your canvas to cover everything. Oh, I haven't even opened these. Canvas can yellow over time. It's another important reason to really make sure you cover your canvas, and the background is the perfect opportunity to get a really solid, good layer on there, especially when you're working with sponges. Alright, so I get my paint poured here. A bit of green. I tend to like my teals mixed a little on the, just a tad on the blue side versus the green side. I don't know, but these two colors make a really awesome teal or turquoise color. It's really hard to replicate with any other blue and green mixture. I'm going to just start off by using my 1-inch flat brush. I've got it wet and I've dabbed off the extra moisture. I'm going to come in and I'm going to cover the entire canvas, so this looks like a good enough amount of paint to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to mix this right in. I'm just going to go for it. This is looking pretty good. You don't have to thoroughly mix. It is abstract, and so more colors are going to work to your advantage. We're just going to add just a little bit of white. maybe just a little bit more. The phthalo colors tend to be extremely transparent. They're very pretty, but they are very transparent. Alright, so I'm going to take this, and I am just going to cover my entire canvas. It doesn't matter if you want to do up and down, side to side, diagonal. It does not matter here. We are just laying on our first color. And make sure you're getting the little lip on the side of the canvas has a little angle on it. Just make sure you're getting that. Now is also a good time to cover the side of your canvas. If you're planning on hanging it as is, I like to go back when I'm finished with my paintings and I just do a black coated side. Yeah, this one has it. And it's just black. And it matches all the other black I have because I couldn't afford to frame every single painting that I do in my house. I have hundreds of paintings, and it's gotten a little ridiculous. So we do have some of our canvases that we've used for paint parties and the paintings. We do have an art sale, and that is on our Creative Canvas website at creativecanvas406.com. Yeah, because I'm telling you guys, I have hundreds of paintings. Because if you think about it, Tasha and I, we do the original painting, and then we might do a practice painting before the party, and then we do another painting at the party, and then if we're making a video, there's another painting right there. So I mean, every painting we have has at least 3 or 4 copies of. And I had my husband build a special canvas holder. It's like a bookshelf with twine that separates each canvas so they're not sticking on top of each other or leaning on top to one another. And it's big. It's probably 7 feet tall, 3 feet deep, and probably, I don't know, maybe not 3 feet deep. I don't know, that seems pretty extreme. But it's ginormous, and it's full. And that holds over 100 canvases, that in itself. He's gonna have to make me another one. Alright, so we have this first coat of blue on there. I might do one more coat just because it is so translucent. And I don't necessarily feel like I need to show you guys my second coat. You guys don't need to be sitting there watching minutes of... let's just say I trust you to do your second coat as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry, and then I'll be back in just a second for you. Alright, so I've got my second coat on the background. It's looking very blue turquoisey. I love this color. I've already pre-cut some pieces of the sponge out of that package. So I've got 2 dampened pieces of sponge. What I think we're going to start with is in the middle. The middle, I know, is like a yellow oxide. Let's see, you could use yellow ochre. There's one more, and I think it's raw sienna. We just want this gold yellowy color. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on my plate. Along with just a little bit of white. Okay, and when you're using a sponge, it is best to not use the entire thing, because then you're just gonna get this weird square, but to pinch it and get good control over some texture area. So I'm pinching. I've got this nice little bushel of sponge. Now, the idea is not to create patterns. So when we dip in our paint and then we're applying, you're going to want to be applying with different wrist movements. That way you do not create a pattern, because us as humans always want to create a pattern. We always want to connect the lines, the dots. It's really hard to do abstract. So I'm just going to dip in my paint and then I'm going to blot it off on this canvas. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of start in the center, and I'm going to turn my wrist, not on the canvas, I've done that a few times, but just because this is going to be the very center part of the painting. And we're just going to kind of dab more in the center. Let's see, the heavier it is going to be more thick. You guys are going to have to just play with this. It's really hard to explain. But as I'm going, I'm just turning my wrist, so I'm not creating a pattern. I'm dabbing that paint on. And some of it in the areas like right in here, it's going to dry darker because that blue is gonna start to set the tone and come through a little bit. So the center area should be pretty well covered. Because our light is behind our birds. And I'm just working in a circular pattern, turning my wrist so I don't actually get a pattern, just trying to keep it abstract, trying to keep it somewhat in the middle. I might go ahead and dab it in this white a little bit, kind of mix it in on my plate, and dab that around the center. Everybody's painting is going to be different. I'm just showing you how to use a sponge and how I got this effect when I originally did this painting. And sponges soak up a lot of paint, so you're going to have to put more paint on your plate. I just do a little at a time so I don't actually waste that much. More white. I'm just trying to lighten the very center of this. And you don't need straight white, but just enough to blend in with the, I've got yellow oxide. And I'm going to tell you, this painting is going to be very ugly until the very last. The very last pounds of paint that goes on. I'm just going to kind of work it out. Getting thinner as we go out. Keeping our wrists turned, not creating patterns, which is super hard. But the more you turn your wrist and do all these different angles, the less pattern it is going to be. This is also a cool way to get texture in your backgrounds. to do foliage on trees. I'm just really going to pound it in the center because that is where my intended light source, it's an implied light source. It's not necessarily saying there's light there. It's saying this is where I want to highlight. This is where I want to make it the brightest because my birds are going to be going here. And I'm just slowly working it around, not getting patterns, getting farther out as I go out. I'm leaving some of that blue behind because I really like that blue. And we might even come in with more of that blue because I like it so much. My favorite color in this whole piece is the blue. And now I'm covering it all up. Doesn't make sense. Just really gonna dab in the center. Alright. So we've got a good start here. We've got kind of just like it's exploded. I'm gonna just go ahead and put this sponge in my water. We're gonna keep it wet. And I think, let's see, I think I'm gonna come in with the second lightest color, which is the burnt sienna. This is pretty translucent, but I love this color next to the teal turquoise color. It almost acts like a copper. It's just a really nice red-brown color. Alright, so I've got this new sponge, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to dip it, kind of get the excess off, and then I'm just kind of work it around and into some of this lighter area. So it's almost gonna seem like it's fading out to darker colors. And this is all abstract, guys. You guys can put more or less. Everybody's painting is gonna look different. We might come to a time when we might need to let some of this texture dry. Right now, I'm just gonna kind of work around the outside of my bubble and remind myself, because I tend to forget that I'm making a pattern. I really like how vintage paintings are, where they go to a darker kind of a round and more in the corner, like sepia, or I cannot recall what it's called at the moment, but it's just a vintage where it fades out and it's darker in the corner, almost like a treasure map. I really like that effect, and so I'm going to keep my corners more dark. Try to remember to turn my wrist. I'm going to be coming in with some burnt umber. Burnt umbers are really dark, chocolatey brown, and that's going to help me make these corners really dark. And you guys can be doing this with any color. This is just, I like these colors. They're popular, they're rustic. And it's just fun to play. And like I said, not everybody's painting is going to look the same. They're all going to be different. Wonderfully different. Because that's what abstract is. It's ever evolving on your canvas. Each piece is different. I could never replicate one of my abstract pieces. I could take ideas and I could reuse ideas, but I could never replicate. Just kind of a fun, creative. I'd like to see what this looks like with different colors too. You know, we could even add some metallic copper to just bling this up. You could do a darker, dark browns, and then use a copper to do the birds. I have something similar to this painted, and I put it in my bathroom, and it's done in like a light canvas or a light taupe color, and then my birds are a teal, and I do have the twine on there too, but I also, since it's in the bathroom, I encased it in a like a picture frame with glass. That way it would stand up to the moisture in the bathroom. And this is just a really fun way to add textures. And to play around with colors. And I think in my original I started out with the darks and then I went to the light, but I'm actually really liking switching it up this time, and I'm doing the light to darks. And I really like that effect too. It's just a little bit different. Got a little bit of a pattern going on here, so I'm just going to keep blotting, try and make that go away. And it's also fun to get paint on your fingers too. Then you feel like you were really in there. You were really getting some. And you can kind of bring it around your edges a little bit, that way it falls around and you don't have these like bright blue edges. You kind of more abstract. You can get the same effect with saran wrap. It's just a little bit harder to control because it's not as dense as a sponge. But I have used saran wrap before sponges and they work great. Another thing is tin foil is great. Sometimes it's fun to ball up tin foil and then unfold it. It has all these textures and paint, and you can paint the tin foil and then stamp it on. You just don't have as much control as where you're putting your paint as you do with a smaller bit of sponge. I'm gonna go ahead and put some burnt umber on my plate here. Okay. I'm gonna put a little bit more burnt sienna. And I'm just gonna keep working that sienna. Because some of it has dried and gone a little dark. So I'm just gonna go over some of the areas I've already been and just really just touch up and make that color pop where it needs to. Mix, just let's see what a little bit of white does to that. it's gonna make a light fleshy color, but nope. It's always fun to play with paints, guys, but if you don't like it, don't continue. You always can just wipe off what you got going on your paper towel, and that'll wipe the excess off. And then you can come in and come right over the top of that. You might need to wait for it to dry. It will dry. And just remember, there's no mistakes. Can't really mess up an abstract piece. Not really. I mean, you could if you really, really wanted to. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wipe this off here, and then I'm just going to go straight for that burnt sienna. It's kind of calling my name right now. I need to darken up my edges. And like I keep reminding you guys, not everybody's painting is going to be the same. This is just a cool, abstract, loose, it's extremely loose, way to get color on your canvas without a lot of skill or detail. Edges up, make it pretty dark up in the corners, like it's fading out, and it's becoming these other colors. But I really like that. I like that other color too. I'm curious to see what all your guys' paintings look like. That's always the best part, like doing these videos, and then we wait, post them, and then every once in a while somebody's brave enough to post what they got going on. And it's usually pretty fantastic. Alright, I am going to wipe some of this off here. Just getting messy. I'm just going to grab a little bit more of this yellow oxide. And I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to start a new color with a little bit of that brown mixed in. And I'm just going to bring it out. Kind of feathered out. I know it's not a 70s hairstyle, but feathering is still a good verb. You know, this would be cool with even like a red, white, and blue, like patriotic flag colors, you know, and then I don't know about birds in the middle, maybe a giant eagle. That might be a little extreme, but I could see it. I'm just gonna feather this stuff out with no rhyme or reason. Wherever you think you need it, guys. I'm gonna add a little bit of white to that. Wherever you think you need it. And I can already tell this looks 100% different than my original. And I use the same colors. I might have went a little darker on the background. It's hard to tell. I could even come in with some blue over this. I can do whatever I want. Like, that's the point. Like, there's no right or wrong here. It's just I need a WD-40 my chair. I tell you what, it is very noisy. And I don't notice it until just now or when I'm editing the videos. So what color does this make together? It's kind of a cool fry sauce color. Not to make a pattern. That's pretty much the hardest thing, is not making a pattern. Like I said, you're gonna see it, you're gonna be like, oh, I need to go here and here and here, and then all of a sudden you have like this line of color that is too uniform. Add some white. I'm just gonna come in the middle here and just add some light tones. Yeah, I'm really liking this actually more than the original. Even though my blue got a little dark on me on the background, from what I can tell, it's okay. So, like I keep saying, like, none of them are gonna be the same. And I actually like this so much, I should stop. It's when you get to a point that you like it, you just need to stop. Because sometimes you can do too much. And sometimes it gets out of control, and then all of a sudden you don't like it, and then you have a lot to cover. You have a lot to go back on. You have a lot of regret to cover. So I'm just gonna add just a little bit more of this rusty burnt sienna. Gosh, there's so many browns, I'm having a hard time remembering. Alright, we're looking pretty fantastic. Some rusty. And I really covered a lot of my blue. And I'm not sure if I want to come in and do a different blue. I don't know. And this is looking pretty good on itself, and the blue is really catching from behind. I don't know if it's needed. I'm not even sure where I put my plate of blue. There it is. It's kind of dry. You use the back side and just pick up a little bit and try it. There's no harm in trying. Unless it's completely dried out, which it could very well be. But there's still a little life left in it. Okay, we're just gonna, I'm not gonna bring a lot of it back because there's still plenty of blue. There's still definitely plenty of blue. I actually like how it is now. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll come back and put our birds in, and then twine, and then that's it, guys. You can try any variation of colors on this. Everything looks great. I would just do lighter in the center, that way whatever silhouettes I'm working with really pop. Your hands are gonna look like mine or even worse. That's why I have to keep painting my nails for the videos, because I cannot keep my cuticles clean. I paint so much that my fingers and I look like I work on cars, basically. So, alright guys, so yeah, I'm gonna let this dry, and it'll only be a second for you, and I'll be back. Alright guys, as you can see, I've got my template here, and I've already cut it out from after I printed it off. Just a little bit easier to place. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to use the 3 birds. 3 birds are much more interesting to our eyes, and I've arranged them in a triangle type. That way it pulls your eye in and it makes it more interesting. It's a pretty simple painting anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab some of my painter's tape here, and I'm going to tape these in place. One there, because I don't want these moving after I start. Alright, and I'm just going to use my sterile paper. It's just a chalk-like paper. One side is really chalky, the other side is not. So when you're using this, you want to make sure you're using the chalk side down and your image side up. So I'm going to do the first 2 kind of together maybe. Just going to slide that in just like that. And then all I got to do is trace around my birds here. I haven't decided if I want the legs or not. I think I'm not going to do the feet. I might add them later after I get my twine figured out. Alright, so I've got those 2. Now before I take the tape off, I'm just going to take a little peeky, and that's looking pretty good. I can see that, and I can see that one, even though the camera's probably not picking that up. It might, but I can see it. Do my other one here. The sterile paper is great because it's reusable multiple times. I like to generally keep my pieces bigger. It's hard to go back once you've made that cut, so and I'm applying steady pressure, not too hard that it pokes through my canvas, but it is hard enough that it's actually leaving the chalk on there. Alright, and then I'm just going to use my detail brush here, and I've already poured some black paint. And I'm just going to fill these in here. Alright, to get a little up close here. And if you need to, the best way to go about this is to go around your lines here with your small detail brush, and then grab your bigger brush and fill it in. And you guys will probably need 2 coats on this, just to make sure you got nice opaque birds. Like I said, you guys can do as many birds, big or small, as you want, but there is kind of a magic in 3 and kind of a triangle composition. Some shakes tonight. Just kind of even out my brush strokes here so it's faster to dry. And I'm flipping my canvas to make it easier for me, as you guys should be doing too. I wonder what these birds are saying to each other. This one down here is definitely looking a little bit more excited than the other 2. Alright, so you guys go ahead and let that dry and then do a second coat on those so they're nice and black. And then we will put on our twine. And I'm going to be using hot glue. There's a few different glues. Just something that's going to tack it. Elmer's glue might not cut it. It might, if it's all-purpose, not children's glue. Yeah. Alright, we'll be back. Okay, so we're at the very last step of this painting, besides signing it, of course. What I've done is I have this bundling twine, and I've measured out and cut 2 strips of it. And when I cut it, I wanted to make sure that it was long enough to cover the front and tuck around the back side of the canvas, because I'm just gonna tack it with some glue there, and I'm gonna tack it right where the birds are sitting, so it's kind of nice and taut, in the front, and also keeps its shape winding back around the back of the canvas. So we'll do these two top ones first. Let's see. I'm just gonna kind of line it up where I think they're sitting, and I want to make a continuous line, so, and make sure that you still leave enough to come around the back side. So I'm just gonna hold that, and I'm just gonna do a little hot glue here, not a whole lot, just enough to tack this down. And you are probably going to have to hold this for a few seconds. Make sure your line is still going to be okay. If you need to add more glue, you can. I'm just getting it tacked on there so that when I let go, I can work with my other hands. And by this time, I've already went back to the beginning of the video and also told you to paint the sides of your canvas. Which, that was something I forgot to mention, and I did end up painting mine black, but if you do not want black, just go ahead and when you're, well, I'll tell you, it'll be like going back to the future. I'll tell you in the intro, so you won't even need this spiel. Okay, so we've got that one tacked. I'm going to tack this one now. Now, I'm not like fully pulling it really tight, so it's not pulling. And it's still, you know, it's raised up just a little bit, that it does create its own little shadow. It's just going to be a cute little thing. This is fun to add to any of these paintings too. Another thing that you can do if you do end up adding more glue, which I am going to probably do that now while my other hand's free, is come back in, and this glue sometimes tends to yellow or get a clear glaze over the top. You can just come in and paint in that black where the bird was too, to kind of hide some of the glue marks. Hot glue is messy. I'm not a professional hot gluer, so just do small little projects. Alright, we're waiting for that to dry, so I'm just going to tuck that kind of underneath to get it curly cues out of my way, and I'm going to do this bird really quick. I want to make sure that I'm not like going over this line, or you could actually do multiple pieces of twine. It would be kind of cool, but I'm just going to stick to the two, keep it simple. Alright, and I'm just going to find my center. It's kind of hard to work with. It wants to curly cue, and just go for it. You are not going to be able to pull this off your canvas if you make a mistake. So what you could do is just add some more paint to paint around if you've made a boo-boo about where you want your glue, because it will pull the paint off the canvas if you try and remove the glue after it's set. And it doesn't take too long, just long enough to be a little awkward on video. Just keep it tacked down there until it's fully cured, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna do one line at a time. I think I'll maybe work on the two. That's still a little tacky. Very carefully, I'm not gonna set this all the way down, but the idea is, get it lined up, is I'm just going to tack it right here with some glue. Careful not to burn your fingers, hot glue does burn. Let's see, it's still going to be, yep, that's perfect. Okay, that's got enough of a tack on there. Sorry if my canvas is moving all over the place, guys. This is not the easiest thing to show you guys. So same thing here. I'm double checking, I'm looking. I'm satisfied with that line. I'm just gonna put my glue in here. Sorry if you can't see what I'm doing. You know what I'm doing. And I'm gonna very carefully tack that down. I'm just gonna come in and I'm just gonna go right over there, just to strengthen up that tack a little bit. This is not the only painting I've used hot glue on. I've actually done like a whole hot glue painting where I drew my image out and then I used hot glue to trace the image so it was raised up off my canvas. And then I did some cool painting. I sprayed and then I textured it with some sponge work. And it's giant, it's huge, it's a peacock feather and it's 4 foot by 4 foot and it's hanging up in my entryway. It's really big. Keeping it straight. Pull this around here. It's got a hold of me. And I'm just going to try not to glue myself to the table. Or burn myself. So far I've managed to do neither. Don't know if my hat's in the way. Alright. So it's just about patience, guys. If you guys could take a little bit more time with your hot glue, making sure that your tack is very well cured before flipping over and doing all this stuff on the back. Alright, I kind of want to see what the front looks like. Alright. Awesome. So now all I gotta do is go in and I can see where it's gotten a little opaque. The glue is a little, it's not as clear as what I want it to be. So I'm just gonna come in and I'm just gonna kind of put just a little bit of black over that just to fix the edges here. And that's all you gotta do. I'm gonna sign it and I'm gonna call this done. And try not to glue my fingers to the back side of the canvas. Alright guys, I'm excited to see how yours turn out. This is a great painting to do with different colors as well. Any color scheme will work. Just keeping the lighter in the center and working out to a darker color. It's a really fun one. And even, you could even do something different other than birds. It could be acrobats, or I don't know, ballerinas and umbrellas, and maybe I'll do that too next. Alright, but I guess this is the end of the tutorial, and I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to check out Tasha and I's website at Creative Canvas 406.com. Yep, and we have plenty of YouTube videos under the Creative Canvas Sisters. Alright guys, see you next time.